But I know Corey appeals to the Greek. There's a bunch of things that he has said. We're going to go through everything, but we have to be systematic and methodical. So what I want to do is, this was kind of opened, and I wanted this brother to come in who knows the Greek more than Corey. I'll just keep it a buck with you, and at least he'll be honest enough to say it. Let me just do this. Let's get this business out of the way so that we can jump in. But I do want to welcome. Give me 1 second here. Why don't I have this listed? Okay. I do want to welcome my brother from another mother with the same heavenly Father. All right, Layman, I pulled you in early because I want you to get at something and comment on something that I played already. I think I sent it to you. I told you to pull up because I just want to know if you can answer my questions, and then you can pull up later and we can chat however this thing opens up. But I've had several conversations with you. And in the past, you have said this. You have said that the reason you're really not a no-sass or once saved, always saved, right? Or perseverance of the saints just by itself and not free grace is because you've always told me, at least 2 to 3 times minimal, that in order for you to believe once saved, always saved, you have to be consistent and follow it to its logical conclusion or follow the doctrine, which would be free grace. And therefore, you've told me that's why you're not once saved, always saved, eternal security, or even by that rationale, I'm assuming you lump Calvinism in there as well because you don't agree with that. But is that a fair assessment as to why you don't just adopt once saved, always saved, or Corey's view?
Yeah, I believe exegetically the conditionalists are more faithful to the text.
Okay.
Even though the Calvinist holds to the promises, or people that typically believe in eternal security, everybody else just cops out.
Yeah. And so when I play this, I'll play it again. When I play this, and then you just give me your comment because you kind of already have. Let me play this. What does that mean?
That means if you don't abide, if you don't remain in him, if you don't bear fruit, you will be cut off and go to hell.
GG's. All right. So what would you describe when somebody like Corey Minor, who teaches on a regular, I mean, I don't know who's learning, but teaches on a regular that if you don't abide, if you don't remain, you'll be thrown into hell, as John 15 says. And I know you disagree that that's not hell. We're not here to talk about that. But when he says that, and at the same time says, but you will remain, you will abide. What is your thoughts on that particular argument or those proclamations that he makes on a regular?
He didn't say, but you will abide in that part. I know I just heard a little moment and everything, but he would have to hedge that based on his doctrine. He would say that if you're going to persevere to some extent, God's going to cause you to abide. And I mean, and what's so sad, I know the views that his seminary teaches about that passage.
Right.
I know the founder, what his view was. I know several other people. Now, don't get me wrong, they've shifted in a lot of areas and everything, but it feels like he's only getting half an education. He's not getting the free grace exposure.
That's what I feel. And I know DTS is a mixed bag nowadays. And the reason I wanted to bring you on is because you don't have to say it, but I think you will say it. I think that you have studied at least more on a regular basis and are much more knowledgeable in the Greek than I would say Corey is. Would you say that? I'm tooting your horn for you, bro.
I don't know. I mean, you'll have to say that because see, the thing is, he's in it. He answers questions all the time, but I feel like a lot of his questions are not dealing with advanced Greek, honestly.
Yeah, and that's what you told me this before, is that he hasn't, let's say, graduated to that. And so some of the rules, some of the ways he uses the Greek is not my issue. It's literally the syntax or the syntactical way or the grammatical way he makes his argument, I think, is just loading up the text. And then he goes ahead and then just says, yeah, well, then I agree with Daniel Wallace. So this is what I believe Corey is doing. Whatever Daniel Wallace believes, that's what he believes. So I've said this a lot of times to Catholics and Eastern Orthodox when they want to debate. They want to debate on a topic, and I say, if I want to know what you believe, I'll go look up your church documents, because if you believe anything outside of what they believe, you're out of order. Well, I'm going to say the same thing to Corey Minor. I know what you're doing. You simply believe what Daniel Wallace believes. And in fact, what I'm going to tell you is, when you're going to hear this, because I know you're watching, What you're going to do is you're going to go find something where you disagree with Daniel Wallace and go, matter of fact, I don't really agree with everything on him. That's what you're going to do. But I already know it, bro. So I'm on to your little playbook that you have, and it's okay. It's all right. So not having an original thought, what I'd like to do maybe in the future, if you're open to it, Layman, since we have a couple of other folks that know the Greek pretty well, but I'm always open to people that can at least say, hey, this is why I came to the conclusion I came to. If you're open to it at a later time, pull in, we can have, let's say, a whole Greek stream, and then y'all Greek heads can pull up and teach me some stuff about Greek or how to eat euros or something. I don't know. What do they do in Greece?
Yeah. I mean, I could do the best shooting from the hip, but I would prefer a formal debate, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, we can do a formal debate, but I think it would be better to have a conversation, not to talk about where one wins over the other, but where people who are studying the Greek can see both sides of it. Corey just refuses to see both sides of it. In fact, in our debate almost 2.5 years ago, he didn't even grasp the concept that he was taking a commentary by Daniel Wallace and asserting it as fact, proclaiming the rule of the double emphatic negation. And I literally catch him then telling him, bro, that's his comment. That's his belief. You're acting like the rule affirms and confirms it with every Greek scholar grammarian. That's what he was doing. That's what he's been doing. And I just think that that's a dishonest way to go about that argument. But give me your last few words here before we move into the show.
Well, I just want to say it was plain disrespectful for you to use his beat in that short. You put the diss and disrespectful there and with that. And what was the word you're saying before game over? What are you saying? Is that a gun? No, what is that?
I think it's the background of the gun sound or something.
Okay.
I'll play it again to see you out. All right, my brother. I'll catch you later, bro. What does that mean?
That means if you don't abide, if you don't remain in him, if you don't bear fruit, you will be cut off and go to hell.
GG's. You meant, what was that at the end? It's GG's, bro. It just means good game. It's like when you're, give me a sec.
Man, I thought we were in the lowrider. I can't see over the dash.
Bro, it looks like it. Yo, rebound leader, you're not even there, are you? All right, so talk to me, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Muller, I'll go first, man.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I think I'm the one that started all of this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Corey and I. Well, this is the thing. Corey has a prison background, and when he started, running his mouth about stuff, he would go in on people. And one of his
I didn't know that he thinks he's a tough guy. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, he thinks he's tougher than most people because he technically went to prison.
But didn't he go to prison for stealing stuff like money?
Yeah, but irregardless of that, a lot of guys think that it's a next level when you go to prison. So he got into it and we got into it. I was the one that said, "Yo, bro, stop it."
Oh, wait a minute. I remember you told me this. You said, let's put the gloves on. Let's get out.
And what I said was, I said, dude, I'm not a brawler, but Mola, you in Southern Cal. I'm in Southern Cal.
Yeah, I'm in Northern Cal, but bro, I got family everywhere in Cali. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
A lot of people, they just do that. So I used to train dudes. So and boxing in my family goes all the way back to the 40s and 50s with my dad. My dad sparred with a dude that fought Joe Louis. And so, when it comes down to the art, I'm like, dude, you a prison dude. Dude, you're a financial dude. Stay in that lane. Don't even think about coming this way, bro. Stop it. I said, I'm 61 and I'll knock the dog snot off of you. And he was like, well, come to, I'll give you a paid ticket and you can come to Texas. I said, dude, if I come to Texas, I'll dip your punch and knock the dog knots out of you to where you won't blink once. You'll blink like 50 times. It'd just be like ridiculous. But we were just talking trash.
This wasn't on YouTube. This is like on the phone or something?
No, he called me. Corey's got my number.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So he called you or no?
I can pick up the phone and call him now, just period. So, what he did is Corey's typical towards saying, answer this text. And Corey turned around and we were having dialogue and he said, X, can you answer this? And I'm like, no, I can't answer that. And he was like, aha, I got you. And I'm like, no, bro, I can't answer it because what I would say to you, you wouldn't agree with in the original language. So it's like I told you before, Moeller, everybody's got scholars. And
Yeah.
if you really go back and you look at Marshall and you look at his point, those individuals, whether you were Arminian or Calvin, they took holiness way different than the way we take it. I mean,
Well, that's a fact.
I tell most people that most Arminians couldn't even hang out with Jacob Arminius. Dude, his level of the standard back then was just another level. So we play games with Arminian, we play games with Calvin, we play games with all of that stuff. So a lot of people argue Calvinism to have a leash of freedom. In other words, I ultimately believe that one of the reasons that Corey is more Calvinistic in nature is because that's the only way he can rationalize his sin over his salvation and continue the bilingual attitude in both of them.
Yeah, I mean, he can. He's an inconsistent Calvinist. No, but I don't think so, bro. I think you're wrong there. I think the reason he's a Calvinist is because Daniel Wallace is a confused Calvinist. That's why.
Well, I mean, but we could go into that because even when you go back to it, they don't argue too differently. And you know, if you know, and I just keep it 100.
That's what I'm saying is, yeah, they argue the same.
I hit you one time and I said, yo, give me all your stuff. And the only reason I haven't gone in and argued my point of view is because once I do that, it's going to take everything to a whole nother level. People are not going to hear what you're saying. You're not saying that people that are truly saved aren't serious. You're not saying that. You're not saying that people that are born again aren't born again. You're not saying that either. What you're doing is you're warning people that you don't take your salvation flippantly. It is not cheap grace. That's all you're saying.
Yeah, it's lordship for sure. And
you know, so
Layman would be the other side of it. But yeah. Well, I would disagree, bro. I think that he's literally plagiarized a lot of his
grace. That'd be taking cheap shots.
Well,
I know you boxers keep it above the belt.
Well, no. What I am, but what I mean by that is this, and I said it to Corey. I said, bro, I have every right to be pissed at you. And he was like, well, I said, no, ain't no way. Hell, I said, if I'm a boxer and I'm a football dude. So if you get to play on 3rd and 5, who's the dude that lost the game for the Rams? It was at the tight end.
Yeah, well,
what dude was in the end zone? He dropped the ball.
Yeah, he dropped.
Dude, he got to eat crow. He's got to eat crow. Period. In the story. And if he goes back to the championship next year, he can't get angry when the coach says you're not getting the ball because you dropped it before at the most crucial time. We have every right to scrutinize people. So in that regard, I can say to somebody, if I'm really on a team, if we're in God's army and you blow it, I should be able to clown you.
I agree. It happens to me. You know, you have to, you know, dig in to figure out what exactly you believe. And sometimes you're going to be inconsistent, but I've been saying it for years. This is what we were talking about earlier with Layman, where Layman pulls up and tells me, yeah, it doesn't make sense. So just to clear it, a Calvinist would never say, if you don't abide, if you don't remain, you will go and burn in hell. You would just simply say, if somebody's not abiding and remain, they were never saved in the first place. Not fair.
Yeah. Well, I debated Dan Chapta on John 15, and he would say statements like that, but then he would basically argue that the warnings are a means to cause you to persevere, even though he's a classic Arminian, you know, and he's not a Calvinist, but still they're interpreting the passage in the same way.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. But you know, I get the view. I understand the view.
Layman, I would argue that differently. Only from the standpoint, if I were to throw something at Mahler, I would say that if you're talking about the phenomena, and we do know that the new birth experience is a phenomena, I would argue, like I said before, my professor at Biola said that Israel had a uniqueness that nobody else had. They had the first right of compliance, and they had the first right of refusal. They had that. So you when you talk about those at the time that Christ is talking, and you talk about those disciples, well, yeah, we're still dealing with the fact that not only is Christ the Theanthropos, but he's also the prophet. He's also in the old dispensation. So yeah, people technically could be compliant, follow Christ as prophet, but not believe him as Messiah in regards to being that dual nature that we talk about. See, when you jump into all that, it gets crazy because individuals did indeed follow Christ up until what time? When he began to talk about
to say he's God,
preceded their understanding of what it meant to be compliant. So you could have guys that be disciples in chapter 5 of John. Then when you jump into John 6:66, Bible says that there were disciples that never walked with him again after John 6:66. And then you got another level of disciples in John 15 that did something. And then you got the most faithful disciples that fell apart in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, how you're seeing that, but I don't know anybody that says, yeah, if a Christian doesn't abide, he doesn't remain, he will go to hell. And then he believes that they actually existed.
Who's that in the chat that says they want to know what I believe? Yes, I'm a Calvinist. I'm a 5-point Calvinist. And
he's a 5-pointer.
I'm a 5-point Calvinist.
And for the record, a long time ago, you agreed to formally debate me one day. So I think it was on JP's show. Yeah. So one day maybe we can do it. But anyway.
Me?
Yeah, you one time you did. Yeah.
Okay. So
one day we'll get to it.
So you're not a Calvinist?
No, sir. I'm free grace.
Oh, okay. So you're free grace. Okay. I don't mind.
I'm a dispensationalist though, so I think we got common ground in that area.
So yeah, so we're dispensationalists. But I would just say, in regards to your point, you'd have to fully argue the first point of the tulip, and I don't think you're gonna be able to do it.
No, just let me get some practice because I'm about to be flying the Lotus flag in my debate with Rogue Calvinists on the February 15th. But
he's got some debates coming up. What are your thoughts on what you saw with what are your thoughts on what you guys saw with
gospel clarity? Corey? Stop it.
What is he talking about?
I'm talking to some clown in the chat. Oh, I call people clowns. So
no, it's all good. But thoughts on what Corey said. It doesn't surprise you that he would call me up and tell me that, even if I was on his side, because I'm assuming you didn't think me and him were going at it. That was a big deal, right?
No, it was no big deal. I mean, realistically, I'm just gonna be honest with you. You're collateral damage, bro. That's what that is. You're collateral damage.
Well, you know a lot more than I do, so I could.
Well, no, the reason why is because let's stop all the nonsense. The biggest boogeyman in the game is that nobody wants to sit down and have a live with Seiko. Not Chess Champ, not Corey, not anybody else. So what they do is they play ball with you, Muller, because you're going to be you're kinder, you're 2025 Muller. You're not 2023 Muller. So you're being nicer to most dudes.
Yo, this dude. You know who's gonna love that? Where's David A? I think he even has that same saying, bro.
That's check crazy. This out, Big Bad Norte. No, I don't follow Seiko. I'm his big brother.
Seiko is a reprobate.
I don't have a channel, bro, is because it ain't worth it. If you're not gonna hear Seiko, if you're not gonna hear Muller, if you're not gonna hear other people, why do you want to hear from me? That means you're just gonna be just as ignorant as you were yesterday. You're gonna be same ignorant tomorrow. So no, stop with all that. I'm 61. Seiko is 53. He my younger brother in the faith.
Yeah, I just grew up. Hey, Action Jackson, you've been talking a lot. Do you want to pull up? Let's see. All right, Layman, give me your 2 cents on what you saw tonight and what Corey did. Is that something that you would approve of?
Man, I hope he's talking metaphorically. That's all I say.
Oh, bro. Yo,
just saying, man, because I'm here for the Greek and the free grace smoke. You know that, but the whole thing
debate on what? What does he believe?
Can we see God
Calvinist? So what is he? I don't know what he believes. What does he believe about salvation? You gotta talk about salvation, bro. You know what I mean? We're over here. We're not gonna sit here and try to argue, Isa and the Injil. He wants to talk here. We got to talk about salvation and,
But did you find anything in Howard Marshall about John 10? He wrote a commentary in 1 John. I don't know.
So let me clarify the record. Mould is more of the authority that Wallace would lean on for his citation, some of the stuff that he did in his grammar. So Mould was the teacher of I. Howard Marshall. So Marshall has more of the, he does do the exegesis. He is a New Testament scholar. The other one would be a Greek scholar and focus more on the syntax and stuff that you do, bro, in the advanced Greek. That's what Mould did. And Mould is somebody that Wallace is quoting just in the basics in Greek, and they were both Anglicans, and they said, nah, we don't ride with that. Now, in their views of John 10:28, remember, John 10:28 is not a passage that a lot of people, at least that I could find in the modern day, have an issue with. This is not an issue. Like, they'll go more to the classics like Romans 9, Romans 8, John 6, Ephesians 1. They're going to have those as their classic lineup as to why they don't believe in determinism or election. So John 10:28 seems to be more of a newer resurgence thing of a verse that's like, I gotcha, and it's for OSAS. But this dude wants to be a Calvinist, so it doesn't make sense to me.
Hey, Mullah, you know why though, right?
What, for him or for me?
Yeah, well, just in general, because okay, so just take for example, Corey Minor, being that we're talking about him. He's, hermeneutics is an art and a science, and if you want, you guys should go online and look at what Hayward did in regards to hermeneutics and interpretation. I mean, that would give you a huge insight to how this guy looks at the science part of hermeneutics and how he uses the art, because hermeneutics is an art and it's a science. Art meaning you get better by doing it. Science means that you have to apply certain rules. However, if your rules are subject to tough scrutiny, your art's going to be screwed up. And I think that's where Corey is not able to articulate and use the art of hermeneutics the way he should, because some of the things that he has in the science part of hermeneutics gets jacked up, like dead.
You mentioned Hayward. You talking about grade school theology, Hayward?
No, the Hayward Dr. Howard. I'm sorry, not Hayward.
Okay,
I'm talking about
Dr.
Howard. So in I think, go to Arcadia.
Well, but he claims to have a literal grammatical historical hermeneutic, and I prove that where he lacks is
but I don't
when
think
he looks at
the issue with that becomes with Corey or a lot of people. They don't really read Terry when it comes to hermeneutics, which is considered to be the classic in the field. And that's only because Terry was a partial preterist in his writing.
But my point is he claims to have a certain hermeneutic and he doesn't use it or apply it. When I press him on the context, for instance, he doesn't know the context of John 10, even when I had a conversation with them. He just thinks that a conversation picks up out of nowhere where they confront him. The conversation starts in John 9, when the very court throws the man out. The Pharisees throw him out, and they say, you don't know what you're talking about. This is where it starts. And so the whole conversation picks up there. And I'm telling him these things, and he just like, I don't really care about that. I know that it says that right there, the ume Apollon time. Right. So, all right. So,
but Muller, if you think about that, you got to remember that Corey comes from a charismatic background.
Yeah, that means nothing to me, bro. That means nothing to me.
And with him having a charismatic background, there is, when you get into Romans and you start looking at Hebrews, there is a form of charismatic thought that says that if you were grafted in and then you all of a sudden get cut off, there is no regrafting. And the only talk,
I completely reject that. That's Hebrews 6.
Jews, but it doesn't happen with the Gentiles.
Yeah, I completely reject that. But go ahead. How do you see that one, Layman?
That one. What do you mean?
Hebrews 6.
Oh, Hebrews 6. I take the view that that those are adjectival participles, that it's describing what happened, rather than an adverbial conditional participle, as second is as a if and a hypothetical. It doesn't make sense to translate it that way. So I think it's a description of people that have fallen away or about to. The reason I say some have fallen away.
One second. Before you go there, do you believe that they could come back if they happen to fall away? Free grace doesn't restrict that, right? They can come back to the free grace gospel.
Yeah, because repentance in that passage is not salvation.
Right. The issue so you see it that way. Okay.
Yeah. But 1 second. The thing is that Hebrews 10, when it says not forsaking the assembling of ourselves as some do, this may be an indication that there were actually people that were apostatizing, going back to offering the sacrifices and all of that. Some people
Right.
would say, no, it hasn't happened. But Ken Yates recently pointed that out, and I agree with them. I wish I would have held that whenever I debated Dan Chapp on the Hebrew warning passages, because I argued in that one that they were about to apostatize. I didn't argue necessarily that they did apostatize.
Yeah,
Had I
well,
known that,
so
I
there's
would've
some,
argued.
there's some other historians that have, I forget who they mention, where they talk about Christians that were no longer Christians going about. So they were part of
Yeah.
a certain group who they weren't falling to. I don't think it was antinomianism, but it's another teaching where they have them as now Christians who had defected from the faith and were talking. So I forget
Well,
what
yeah,
the
yeah,
reference is.
But Layman would also agree that in that distinction, any particular type of or reference to that would be more akin to Jews that had become believers in Christ that wanted to go back to the law, because
Yeah,
most Gentiles had no reference to the law anyway. That's
No,
why.
it is to the Jews, and he's
Only
warning
through
them not
the,
to go back. Yeah.
synagogues. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I would agree with that
think it is
context.
Jewish Christian
Distinctive.
audience. Yeah.
Hey, Layman, did you used to do hip hop, bro?
Bro,
Not
are you
really.
serious?
No, I've never been in no studio, man. I just be
Bro,
messing
what you
around.
talking about?
God gave me the ability to do ice breaking. That's it. Hey,
Hey,
I got-
don't be
I
lying
got-
now. Don't be
Hey,
lying now.
I got Calvinist rappers putting diss tracks out on me.
All
Road
right.
Calvinists and
That-
Twitchy theologians
That's it.
put a diss
That's
track
it.
on me.
That's how we're ending. Reamers, peace out, my brother. I'm gonna pull
Well,
you
I
out
want that
because
beat from the
Hey, holla at me,
introduction
Muller.
in.
Holla at
can't.
me, Muller.
All right, brother, man. I
And holla
appreciate you
at
coming
Seiko
on.
too, man.
Yeah, I already did. We'll talk. All right, brother. All right, go
I
ahead.
want that beat from the introduction. What can I say? What's your major malfunction? Just like that old movie used to say. What can I say? I'm not afraid to spray. Anybody can get it, even the people in the chat. They already know where I'm at. It's going to end up going splat. Like a bug up on the wall. What you think I'm here for? A cause? Yeah, I am to represent free grace and go to war over the Greek. That's what I seek. So get ready if you speak. I take up the challenge. You say you ain't got the talent. Well, guess what? You ain't got the allowance. You can try to save it up for a week, and you still ain't going to compare to the grace that it's free. Meaning you can't even put it in your bank. And if with that, I come in with the tank. But this ain't no limit. This is no gimmick. I'm trying to bring it to you, and there is no limits to test. I bring in the best. Right now, I got to take so much breath out my chest. But I see the fire emoji, so I know that I gotta keep going. Gotta keep flowing to bring this back to the old times. So what can I say? The dude think he got an old mind. I got the Xerxes Redeemer thinking that I'm a schemer. Coming from LA from what to say. I told him let's go to a formally debate. 5-point Calvinist, you know I'm about it, kid. I'm not afraid to go West Coast, East Coast. Even the woman text in between both. I still spit it at you and everybody knows. I'm not trying to go to war with any coast. And we got Marla's place on fire in the California. So what can you say? They should have heard the warning. Earthquakes and other things that you take away. What can you do? It's like they lay the egg and it incubates. Like in Jurassic Park, the fire ignites it. Like that one fire dragon. Anyway, I'm trying to think of that
movie. Yo! That's it. All right, Layman, I appreciate you coming by, bro.
Yeah.
Hit me up soon. We'll do something. All right, my brother. All right, peace out, y'all. Y'all say